What's up, geeks and gamers? It's Odin coming to you with another video, and today we're going to be looking at the box office numbers for Ant-Man and the Wasp. So this is a video that I've been wanting to make for a while, ever since Ant-Man and the Wasp came out. It's a really great film. If you want to know more information about that, go check out Jeremy's review that he did on the Geeks and Gamers channel. It is fantastic, but it also is what led me to this video, because he got a lot of criticism from some people who said Ant-Man and the Wasp can't be that good, it's a flop, it's losing money, etc. And every time I saw those comments, even in his live streams, people were saying these things, I thought to myself, no, I'm looking at the numbers right now, and I don't know what they're seeing versus what I'm seeing, but nothing seems to suggest that this film's not going to turn a profit. In fact, it's already gotten to the point where it's starting to make money, and that's when you include the marketing campaign. That's when you include the fact that it's not going to make 100% of the total box office earnings. All those things taken into account, this film is already making money, and there are some pretty big markets that it has yet to open in that's going to make a very big difference. And so let me just break down the numbers for you guys. If you know anything about me, if you know anything about what I've done on my channel before, I did a lot of breakdowns of the Solo box office, and I called out pretty early that this film was going to lose a lot of money. Solo is at the pace still to lose around $200 million, so if you want to see more information about that, go check out my channel on O's Movie Blog to be able to check that out. But talking about this film, it's a very different story, because some people would say, oh, it's kind of comparable, right? I mean, it probably cost around the same amount of money, and it looks like it's going to make the same amount of money, but I'm telling you right now, this film is going to crack $500 million, and it's probably going to get closer to $600 or $700 million, and I'm going to explain how I got to that number in a second. So let's actually look at all the numbers that we have thus far. So let me go ahead and put these numbers up for you, so that for a lot of you people, you know, I'm a very fast talker, and sometimes people can't keep up with me. Even sometimes I can't keep up with myself, which is why I sometimes, you know, trip on my words. But I wanted to put up some images for you guys as well, so that way you were able to see the facts that I'm working with, you're able to see the things as I go through them, and that way, if for any reason you lose track of what I'm saying, the numbers are right there on the screen, and they're pretty straightforward. So first, we've got the current box office numbers, which is $353 million, so that's both the domestic and the worldwide totals. Interesting fact about that is when you know a film's doing okay when the domestic total is less than the worldwide total. Why do I say that? Well, keep this in mind. Solo right now has a higher domestic than a foreign total, which means it's not doing well overseas. When that foreign total is higher than the domestic, it means that it's doing pretty well overseas, and so therefore it's doing pretty well overall. It's a pretty good measure. It's a pretty good metric to look at. But $353 million, that is the total box office gross at this point, again, as of Sunday, July 22nd. Let's look at the budget. Because obviously we know that, yeah, it's made $353 million, but also we know that we have to subtract some numbers from that to understand how much the film has actually made thus far, because obviously it costs money to make a film. And so according to thenumbers.com, which is a really great site, it's really good information on Blu-ray sales, tracking Blu-ray sales, tracking box office sales, box office ticket sales as well, and it's also really good for listing production budgets too. Now, with this production budget, there have been some other sources that put it closer to $160 million, which I would believe, because in the end, the first Ant-Man film was made for $130 million, and I guarantee you they probably spent a little bit more on the second film, and so I think 160 is probably closer, but I'm going to go with what the website tells me, and it says $130 million, so let's just assume that. The next thing that we have to take into account is the marketing for the film. This is what we know has pretty much killed Solo. I mean, the production budget alone was bad because they had to spend even more money to reshoot so many different things, but then they also had to market the film as well, and if anyone knows anything about their marketing, some people might say it wasn't very good, but you can't deny that they still spent a crap ton of money on it. Same thing with Ant-Man and the Wasp. And the rule of thumb in the industry, and you can check various sites and sources on this to back this claim up, is that a marketing budget is usually around 50% of the total production budget. So what's the production budget? $130 million, which means that the marketing budget was probably close around $65 million, which means that overall the total cost was $195 million. Whew! So they got to make that much money. It doesn't stop there though, because guess what? Out of the $353 million that the film has already made, it's only going to see 60% of that total. And this is something that's also really hurt Solo too, and a lot of other films, because people understand and people misunderstand. They say, wait a minute, it's made $400 million. It costs less than that to make, therefore it's made its money back. That would be if they took 100% of the box office takes. But the fact is that these studios make deals with theaters like AMC and Regal, And so therefore, by the end of its run, they only end up making about 60%. The studios only end up making about 60%. Why? Because they can charge the movie theaters a lot of money when it's first released, but for that movie theater to hold on to that film for a very long period of time, they have to start charging a lot less. And so then overall, when you take that into account, and also that foreign markets don't really give around 90-95% of the box office take to the studios, it roughly turns out to be about 60%. So when you take that into account, the actual gross for the film at this moment, as of today, is $211 million. A lot less than the $353 million, but still not terrible. And some people might say, okay, so how has this film made any money? Well, if we take into account that the total cost of the film was $195 million and the actual gross at this moment is $211 million, it means that Ant-Man and the Wasp, as of today, has made $16.8 million. Whew, that is a whopping big number. Obviously, you know I'm being sarcastic there, but it's still only 2 weeks since this film has debuted, which means it still has a lot of time to make a lot more money. It has already broken even and has made a profit, and this is before Blu-ray sales and anything else. So this film is going to make a decent amount of money. But why do I think it's going to make over $200 million? Well, it's a couple different reasons. For one thing, this film has not yet opened in China, and that is a very big deal. Why? Because as you see up here, in the first Ant-Man film, when it was released in China, it made $105 million. That is a third of its total foreign take for Ant-Man. A third of its total foreign box office take. So the fact that it has not opened, that Ant-Man and the Wasp has not opened yet in China, is telling us that it still hasn't made a large chunk of the total box office money that it's going to make. Another really big indicator, or another good indicator, that this film is actually going to make a lot more money than the first Ant-Man film is that it's actually outpacing itself in certain countries. One great example, and this was another one of the big box office draws as far as the different nations are concerned, is South Korea. In South Korea, for the original Ant-Man, it made $21 million. Again, that's pretty good for South Korea. But how much did it make, or how much has Ant-Man and the Wasp made so far? Well, when we actually look at the numbers at this point for South Korea, we see that at this point already, it has made $34 million. So it has already made almost $10 million more than the entire lifetime gross in South Korea for the original Ant-Man. So because of this, because of China not opening up, which again is at least going to be around $100 million taking in, it tells us that even though the Ant-Man and the Wasp is still around this $353 million and is still at the point where it's not making a whole lot of money, we can be very confident that it's going to end up making a lot more than, not just a lot more than $350 million, but also a lot more than the total box office gross of the original Ant-Man film, which, as I'm going to pull up for you here, ended up being in total $519 million. So what are you guys' thoughts on this? Do you think that I'm off with my math? Did I make a mistake? Please let me know in the comments below. I would greatly appreciate that. Also, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe. We would all greatly appreciate it so much. And also too, please go see Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's a really good film, and guess what? You don't have to worry about losing money because as I've just shown you, it's already made $16 million, and it's only going to make more from here. So have a great day, guys, as always, and God bless.